Hi there, welcome to Cork Meets Fork, match number 2. I'm Robert Mitchell, and we've got a fun little tasting where we're tasting some Spanish wines today. The match today is Spanish Tempranillo, or as they call it, Tinto Fino in Spain, matched with a herb-crusted pork loin, and it's a pork loin chop that we're putting together. Stick around for the end of the program. We're going to show you how to do that. You can download the recipe and play with that. But first things first, we got a couple of things going on in the next couple of weeks. Next weekend, next Saturday, that is the upcoming Saturday, that's September 25th, we're going to be at the Hobnob restaurant just between Racine and Kenosha. We're going to be tasting some wines of Joel Gott, and we're also going to be tasting this Ribera del Duero that we're going to be going over today. On October 2nd, we're going to be in Kenosha at Sassy B. We're going to introduce our Wine Club Wines of the Month for October, and then we're also going to plan a dinner on October 28th. That's a Thursday. And we're going to do a fall harvest dinner at Sassy B as well. Also do a little shout out for one of our partners, Grapes to Glass. They're having their grand opening this weekend, and that is September 25th on Saturday. Stop in, taste some wine, see what that store is all about. It's in Sturtevant, just a little bit west of Racine. Now to the wines today. I love Spanish wines. I think they're just great tasting wines, and I also think Spanish wines just have this great value, a great bang for your buck. Back in the 70s, you can get a real high-end Rioja for around $15 a bottle. The prices have gone up a little bit since then, but not much. I think you still have some great values here. Today we're going to taste one white from Rueda, and this wine actually would be great with a salad or like a manchego cheese or something like that, but it also would work with this pork loin that we're putting together. Because of that herb crust, we're also adding a little bit of lemon to the pork loin. So I think that would be a nice little match, even though it's a white wine with pork. Then we're going to Ribera del Duero, where we're going to try a wine from Silentium. Castillo de Robledo is the name of the producer, and a fantastic little 2006 Tempranillo. It's a Joven. It's going to be a little bit younger, but a nice wine. And then we're going to finish off by going to Rioja, and we're going to try a Rioja Crianza, and we're going to tell you a little bit more about that later. But first, let's try this white wine from Rueda. And if we're looking at these regions here, you have up in the north central part of Spain, and Rueda is going to be a little bit on the west central part of Spain, and it's a region, Rueda, where they produce the Verdejo grape. 84% of production up in Rueda is white wine, and predominantly the Verdejo grape. And here you have this real crisp, kind of a simple wine, very Sauvignon Blanc-like, maybe even close to the Italian Cortese grape, but just a wonderful little white. That smell of lemon, that freshness that you're getting there, just wonderful in this wine. Very clean. It would work with a nutty cheese. Very good acid, very clean. You get a little bit of this kind of limestone minerality, which is present up there. There's some chalky soil up in Rueda, and you're definitely getting that with this wine here. But a real nice white, great starter. We're still going to have some Indian summer here in the Midwest and out of the East Coast yet before we get into the heavy fall. So these white wines still have a place here. Give this wine a shot. And you'll be able to pick this up online today too. It's $11, so a great little value wine. Now, the real reason we're here, the red wines. We're going to go to Ribera del Duero here. And this wine from Castillo de Robledo is peaking right now. It's a younger Tempranillo, so it's not going to have as much time in the bottle. You're not going to be able to sit on that as long as the Rioja that we're going to try third. But right now, it's peaking. Many people ask me all the time, how long can you hold a wine? When is that wine ready to drink? And I always say you have to taste it. I mean, it could change depending on humidity in the air, how the wine was stored, that particular vintage, of course. Here you've got a wine that right now I don't think it's going to get any better, and I think it's probably better than it's ever tasted. That kind of earthy Spanish nose, a little bit of that barnyard, just a hint, not over the top. Bright blackberry fruit. Great in the nose. Starting to get a little brown edges there, which is something that happens once that wine starts to age a little bit. Great little balance. This wine has that real bright fruit. That blueberry, blackberry fruit is kind of coming out up front. But then the tannins, and more so from the skin of the grapes than I believe from the oak. This is seeing very, very minimal oak, 6 months at the most. And I think you're getting here more of the tannins from the skin of the grape, and also some of the fruit is starting to subside. So now you're getting this perfectly balanced wine. Wonderful. With the herbs on that pork loin chop, it's going to be a great little match. And I think that little saltiness too, we're adding a little bit of salt to that herb crust. That dryness is going to completely disappear. Now the star of them all here, Rioja. Rioja was the wine region in Spain, right in the central part of Spain. Ribera del Duero is going to be a little bit further to the west, and then you've got Rueda a little bit further to the west, but that's all up in the northern part of Spain. Rioja is the first wine that really came here to the United States from Spain. Spanish cavas probably followed that, the sparkling wines, but people knew Spain from the Riojas as far as wines go. And here you have a Rioja Crianza. This is from Bodega Puyas, their Rioja Crianza. Crianza is a term that's used for how long the wine is aged before it's actually released. And Crianzas have to be aged for 2 years or stored for 2 years before they're released, in a minimum of 1 year in oak and 1 year bottle aging. You also have a Rioja Reservas, which have to be aged 3 years, 1 year in oak, 2 years in the bottle before releasing. And then you also have the Grand Reserve Riojas. The same type of aging requirements and the same jargon is used in Ribera del Duero as in Rioja. And a Grand Reserva, 5 years of aging before released, 2 years minimum in oak, and 3 years in the bottle. Here you've got a Crianza, 2 years of aging. And that 1 year of oak is coming out big time. You get that toasted, little vanilla, that real toastiness. The same kind of berry fruit that you were getting in the Ribera del Duero, but it's a little bit more muffled because the oak is kind of taking charge here. And that's really kind of a signature of Riojas. That oak really shines through. Creamy smooth. Vanilla flavor really comes out. You get that berry fruit. Here you have more of a balanced wine. You're getting that oak. You're getting that tannins, that tannic finish at the end, the very dry finish. But the oak kind of softens that blow a little bit. But just a wonderful wine. You're also getting a little spice in there, a little bit of tobacco, and almost like a little rosemary that's coming through too, which is something that I often get in Chiantis from Italy, and I'm getting this here a little bit in this Rioja from Spain. Wonderful, wonderful little wine. Once again, just very, very smooth. And the food match. This is what Cork Meets Fork is all about. The wine with the food. So the dish, we have a herb encrusted pork loin, roasted tomatoes with a little garlic and thyme. We have collard greens that have just been cooked with some smoked bacon, and we have a little turnip puree here. Let's give this a shot with this dish, with the wine rather. So fresh on the herbs. It's beautiful. The two go hand in hand. Really affordable wines and food together. It's all about value now. Stay tuned. Watch us as we prepare this dish. Now for the food portion of Cork Meets Fork, and today's recipe is very simple, and it's a value-oriented dish too. It's very inexpensive, but it's an herb-crusted pork loin chop. And what we're doing for sides in this dish is we're doing a turnip puree, just a little bit of cream and butter, very simple. We're also doing mustard greens that we're braising in chicken stock with garlic and also some smoked bacon in there.
and the tomato dish. We're roasting some tomatoes, and I'm going to show you how to do this. Very, very simple. I'm using vined ripened tomatoes here. We just want to cut the end off and then half them. And then we want to take the tomato seeds and extra juice and just kind of squirt that out. We don't want that. Get rid of the excess moisture. Hit it with a little bit of salt. I have some fresh thyme. And then garlic. And we're going to take the garlic, we're actually going to stuff that inside the tomato so it doesn't burn in the oven. And you're going to get that nice roasted garlic flavor with the tomatoes. We're going to take those stuffed tomatoes, 3 tomatoes will give you 6 halves, six pieces, and we're going to roast them in the oven on 350 for about an hour and 15 minutes. It's going to bring the sweetness out of the tomato. That goes in the oven, and then we've got the pork loin itself. And this is a little $7, $8 pork loin. And what we did, we trimmed the fat off earlier to go into our pork jus that we're going to be serving over the top of this. And we're going to cut this into little pork steaks. Now in slicing these chops, I like a thick cut. That way you can have a nice medium temperature on it without overcooking it, and it's just super, super tender. I also trimmed off a little bit earlier that we're using in our pork jus, our little sauce that we're going to drizzle on that after the fact. Now this pork jus, or just the juice of the pork, we use some scraps, a little bit of celery, onion, there's a little bit of garlic in there too, and we're just going to use this juice to drizzle over the top of the pork loin. Here we have a little bit of lemon rind, we've got some garlic, sage, rosemary, and parsley, and we're just going to chop this all finely. And after a few minutes of chopping, you see how fine that is, and we are almost ready to coat the pork loin. Are you ready? And we add a little bit of salt, a little pepper, and then we coat the chop. A nice thick, healthy coating. That's going to stick once we put this on the grill. And it's going to give you that nice fresh flavor along with that succulent pork chop flavor. So we're taking these onto a real hot grill. And we're going to let them go for a bit. We'll start with the turnip. Just really clean, really fresh. Add a little bit of the mustard greens. Got these wonderful roasted tomatoes. We're going to stick right in there. And we have our pork loin, and we're just going to drizzle a little bit of the pork jus. That's just going to freshen everything up, and then just a little touch for a garnish. We're going to take the same greens that we played with and just going to give a little touch on the plate there. This is the crust on the pork, just for a little extra flavor and design. I'd keep it running for a little bit just in case.